What's up, YouTube? It's Joe Catchpolia. You caught me sitting on the couch trying to make money investing in fractional real estate online, as usual. Today I'm going to be looking at a new platform that I just recently came across. It's called Mogul. It's mogul.club. I'll put a link in the description below. Um, One of the things, if you haven't been following along, I've been reviewing several different investment platforms where you can get small pieces of real estate deals. Why am I doing this? This isn't something that I'm putting a ton of my own money in. I'm putting enough in to try to experiment with several different platforms. But my day job is I work as a real estate agent. I run a small team where we only work for investors. We're trying to buy investment properties. I run into a lot of people who'd like to be an investor, but they're really just not there yet financially. And so I've been trying to find some good platforms for them to get some real estate exposure, maybe learn a little bit about how, what a good deal looks like and whatnot. And, somewhere for them to put their money in the meantime. Uh, and so that's what started me down this path. I really think it's interesting looking at fractional real estate investing. And, some of the platforms that you have the opportunity to go the other way if you're already an investor, to sell pieces of yours. That's not the case with Mogul. Um, and I'm going to jump right into that. But I just wanted to give a little reminder of what I'm doing here because it is, just because I end up liking a site and I put some money in it, it doesn't mean it's necessarily the right thing for you. And just because I say, I don't like it, I've chose not to invest in Arrived. I took my money back off of Landa. I think that Brick Save to me seemed not very compelling. So, there's definitely been sites that I've decided not to put money on. It doesn't mean that those aren't sites where you could, wouldn't make money if you if you did your own due diligence and you bought some and you thought that they were right for you. And the same goes for the ones that I have. I've done a lot of videos on Lofty. I've already made some, decent returns on some of those properties, and then some I'll be holding for a long time. And then I put a little bit of money on Ground Floor as well. So far, that's really my favorite platform to recommend to someone who is just looking for a decent risk-adjusted return and doesn't really want to spend a lot of time like picking investments. But again, if you watch my videos on that, I think I try to make it clear who I think it is good for, and it's something that I'll probably put more and more money on over time, but not necessarily right for everybody. I think Mogul is kind of interesting. It falls into a similar category as Landa and Arrived Homes, in that they're a platform where it's a group of professionals who have experience. Well, and this is, they're a little bit different because they're not tech founders. They're really real estate guys. At least that's what they claim to be. From I think they said Goldman Sachs real estate group. Where they bought residential properties for institutional investors. I think that's what it was. I don't, don't quote me on that. You can look. I'm sure it's on their site if you spend 5 minutes on here. But so far they seem really new. Although I found some of the older properties sold out over a year ago, and so they're not really that new. But it's a very small portfolio so far, right? I mean, they have let's see, six that they've sold out of, and then two, or no, five that they've sold out of, and then three that are available. For some reason, I thought this was sold out already. Um, I want to share. Like I said, I just got started. I signed up. I put some money on, or I haven't put money on. I've just connected my bank account. You don't actually have to. It looks like you can just invest directly once your bank is attached. It's not like where you have to move money into it and then do it. At least that's what it looks like so far. Like I said, I haven't actually gone through that process yet. I just wanted to share one thing I thought was really interesting is they set up a Zoom call for me and spent 30 minutes talking to me about the platform, how I might want to use it, answering questions. And so they're sort of doing that hand-to-hand combat right now where you're starting a company and they're really engaging with some of the new clients or new investors on the platform. So I really liked that. So their transparency seems pretty good. Um, when you just click into the properties themselves, when it has the Invest Now button, it's not a ton of info. This is be something where just like on all the other platforms, we're going to do some off-platform due diligence when we pick a certain property and start to look at it. But then they do have this separate analysis tab, and then you can look at the properties there, and even in those, they're definitely giving more info. They're giving some of the like the information as far as like what their projected property management fees, HOA, miscellaneous cost total expenses. One of the things I don't love about it is there's not, they have a maintenance reserve that you fund up front, but they don't have a repair and maintenance line item on their projected expenses. And so I think that's a little bit worrisome. So far, I haven't been able to find any historic, actual cash flows from properties that they have out, although one of them did mention that they're, paying a dividend or started paying a dividend in April of this year, but it didn't, I couldn't actually look and see like where that's paid and how much and how regularly. And maybe it's because that is sold out and they think, well, that's none of our business looking at future ones. But I'd like to be able to get some of that info. So I asked for that. We'll see if they respond. They also don't have an analysis on every single one. So if you look at this property is one that I'm particularly interested in. It's a pad split managed property, where it's rent by the bedroom. I really like that model. I think it's going to be popular going forward, and it's one where you can create a lot of cash flow out of a single family home. And so this is one that I'm interested in, and I want to run some numbers on and see if I'm going to invest. But it is at the moment they don't have it in the analysis tab, and so the representative I talked to said that that should be coming soon, and hopefully they get that in before my countdown ends. And let me show you that this is something I think is really interesting that they're doing. This up to $10,000 in bonus investments. It's basically, if your initial investment loses value in the first year, you can get up to $10,000 in bonus credits. When you click into invest now, it's like, okay, up to 10,000 of this is going to be Mogul backed investment. That's one of the things that I sort of, I think it's nice. The guy talked about that as putting his money where his mouth is. But to be perfectly honest, one of the things that worries me a little bit about this site is it comes across as being way too salesy. It's called Mogul, right? Like already just the name is sort of giving you this impression you're going to get rich. They really lead with talking about their highest returns out of all the platforms. He mentioned he looked at a lot of the other platforms, and this, their returns are higher. And when I look at Arrived Homes and when I look at Landa, what you project as far as, especially from a cash on cash perspective, it looks like he's right. It looks like, at least on the surface, a lot of these properties should do better. Now it's really because they're short-term rentals or a pad split or something specific that they're doing to make them work that way. And I think that's what you have to do in today's world in most markets to get good yield. Um, but it always worries me when somebody who's selling an investment leads with returns, especially when they don't have historical data to back that up, right? Like, I mean, they're all new properties. Those returns are built on a lot of assumptions. It is something that's pretty interesting that you can, use some toggles right on their site. Okay, this is a short-term rental. This is what they project. But what happens if we switch it to long term? Okay, this loses money if you switch it to a long term rental. It's actually something that I'm really interested in, right? Like I'd like to know, have they looked at other exit strategies, right? And most of the time, to have a property that works great as a long term or a short term rental, it is going to lose money as a long term rental. But how much, right? But it's interesting that you can just hit that toggle and it'll look at both. They also provide, you can mess with your hold periods, try different times, and look at what your expected return is. I actually think this is kind of a comical thing that they've done here, where they have their base case, their bull case, and their bear case. Um, and their bear case, this is not a bear case. They're still projecting 3.5% rental income growth or 3.5% appreciation. It's not a good, real estate, although over the long run, it always has returned positive results in good markets. And, this is Houston. So, that it's, there's a good reason to believe that the base case or the bull case might be accurate. But to say that, your bear case, like when everything goes wrong and you're still making a ton of money, I think that that's a little bit irresponsible. I don't appreciate that. But it is obviously this is a site they're trying to sell you, right? They're trying to get your to invest just like all the others. And also depending on how experienced the people are, they might really believe this, right? I mean, there's a lot of people that especially if you got into real estate in the last 10 years, this might seem like a believable bear case, right? Like if they didn't experience 2008, if they didn't experience, the 90s, the late 80s, early 90s crash, they might think that this is a bear case, but I just disagree. I think that there's, if you're not having at a bare minimum some flat rental growth and maybe even a negative for a couple of years, give me a couple negative years and then a couple good ones. I'd much rather see that. But I do want to show you something that they're doing that I think is really great as far as a transparency perspective. Well, they're doing this is your amortization schedule, which is nice to show that graphically. But this break even analysis is fantastic. Like I love that they're providing this. I think that anytime you invest in real estate, and I have to tell clients this on a regular basis, you can't just turn around and sell it. You'll lose money if you do that. And that's what I think they're showing you here is like, okay, if you make an investment in this property, at what point are you actually going to break even in it? Your all-in costs, your total returns. Is that really what they're doing here, or are they showing us breaking even with cash flow? Oh, I hope that's not what that is. I'm gonna have to look at this a little bit longer. Let's see. Break even. Oh, for when to sell the property. Okay, it is. And I think it makes perfect sense, right? Like most real estate, to overcome your initial capital improvements and your closing costs, and then to cover the closing costs when you sell, your hold period, you're not going to make money if you sell it in a year or two. This one has 56 months. That's a little worrisome for me. I wouldn't want to buy a property that I had to hold that long just to break even. Normally if I'm selling in 3 to 5 years, I'm hoping to make a profit. Let's look at this. They did it on this one, and it's 46 months. Oh, I thought I saw one that was a little shorter. Um, that's still kind of a long time to have to hold to break even. I think part of the issue there, oh, what happens if I change the base case? Does that change this? Oh, it does. Okay. And so part of it is I was using their bear case. Let's go back to this one and switch. So I really like the tools on here. Um, and it does flow through to all of it. So that's really cool. Getting okay, that moved it to 41. I think this was 56. Should I do it to base or bear or bull? Okay, but now let's do their bull case and then see. Yeah, and then only 29 months, right? But in any case, I think this is a fantastic tool that they've added, because it is, real estate should be a long-term investment, and to just really help you visualize that, look, I'm putting money into this, even though I might be getting paid, a yield, I might be getting paid cash flow. I'm not really making money on it in the first couple of years until, if I were going to go and sell it, I'm not going to break even for a while. And so I appreciate that they add that. One of the things that they've said they're going to do that they haven't, thinking about disposition, I've talked a lot about Lofty, and one of the reasons I like that platform is your interests are tradable. You can sell them, buy them and sell them at any time. Here, your money is locked up. At the moment, they don't have any way to exit ones that you're holding. And so you'll be holding that, it is a long-term investment, which is what real estate should be. But if if you need access to it, there's no way to get that now. Now they've said that in 2026 is what he told me, that they will have a way to actually sell your shares that you've bought, but they'll have a mechanism where it won't be traded based on, supply and demand and the price for them, but where they'll set a price either based on comps or based on, an appraised value of the property. Um, I don't know if I love that or not. I think what could end up happening is if they peg that price too high, nobody's going to buy your shares after the fact, right? And so you might get this glut of people that want to sell and can't. Um, maybe that'll happen, maybe it won't. If they peg it too low, then you might never want to sell. And even if you need the liquidity, you might, take a haircut, and that's not great. And so I don't know. I think that it'll be interesting to see how that turns out. But as the rep mentioned to me, that's a probably a year or two away. Um, I don't know. I think the next time. I just wanted to give you a quick overview and what I liked and what I don't like about it. I did, sign up, and I have the $50 credit in my account already just for signing up. And so I'll put a link to that below if you want to go forward and get, 50 free dollars. It didn't make it super clear when I click on the invest now. It showed my credit. Well, where did it show it? It showed my credit on here somewhere. Um, in my portfolio? No. I don't remember where I saw that, but I did see it already, maybe in my account or something. But so that worked right away. Some of the accounts that you do that with, it's they say they're giving you money to sign up, and it's not super clear. I don't know. I haven't read all the terms and conditions on that. It might require some, minimum investment to make that work. Um, I think I will put some money on here though if I can get a couple more easy questions answered. It seemed, my initial take is that these are they're doing a good job picking properties. But I think what I'll do next time is take a deep dive into one of them. I really want to look at the roads, but they don't have, this is the pad split property, but they don't have all the details in the analysis tab yet. If that pops up in the next day or two, that might be the first one I do. If not, I'll check out this one. It's a Airbnb in Houston. I poked around a little bit on it, but I think I'll do some full due diligence, and then if it makes sense to maybe put some money on that one tomorrow. Um, we'll see. Like I said, I'm trying to have a pretty critical eye on all these and do all the due diligence I can. I couldn't find much written about them one way or the other. Like I showed you on Landa, how they had just tons and tons of negative, complaints on the Better Business Bureau. I couldn't even find this company's account on there. I think it's partially because they're just so small, right? I mean, it's just a small number of properties. It's relatively new compared to them. But I am going to poke around a little bit more. If you have any experience investing on here and have some info that you'd like to share, I'd like to hear it. Um, but if not, it'll be a case of me just trying it out. Because it is at least on the surface, it looks pretty promising from a returns perspective. I just have to get a better handle on what the risks are. It does seem like their model is a little bit different where they're not selling actual securities. They're not a broker dealer. They haven't used a broker dealer. They're using this basically investment club model. I don't know how that holds up. So it's something else I'm going to research a little bit more. Um, I think most of the time, if there's problems with stuff like that, it becomes a problem of the platform, but not necessarily for the owners. If we have to, might just be forced to liquidate at some point, which, if we're not breaking even yet, that could be a problem. So I won't be sticking a ton of money on here yet, but I think it'll be, um, I like a lot about what they're doing. I think, when I compare them, at least my initial look compared to Arrive, compared to Landa, it- you know, I think this is going to turn out to be a better opportunity, but we'll see. They're like I said. I mean, I think they're new. The only way to really figure it out is to give them a try or find some feedback from somebody who has. So if you have used them, please feel free to comment below. Uh, But if not, you'll just have to follow along with me. And as usual, until next time, I'll just keep making mistakes so that you don't have to.